Ryan stepped off the small desert caravan and let the warm wind brush against his face. The sun hung low in the sky, painting the golden dunes in orange and pink.
He had traveled for days to reach this place.
A vast desert known as the Burning Dunes. Stories told of ancient ruins hidden beneath the sand, and of a mysterious artifact that could bring knowledge and harmony to those who found it. Ryan's heart beat faster. He had always loved discovery, but this journey felt different. This time he was not just seeking treasure. He wanted to uncover secrets long forgotten. The desert stretched endlessly in every direction. The sand shimmered under the sun's final rays, forming waves and patterns that looked like an ocean frozen in time. Ryan adjusted his scarf and pulled his water flask from his bag. The journey ahead was dangerous, but he had prepared for every challenge, or so he thought. From the corner of his eye, he noticed a figure moving carefully across the sand. A woman, tall and strong, with dark hair tied neatly and sharp, intelligent eyes that seemed to see everything. She walked with ease, like the dunes were part of her. Ryan called out, hoping she might help him. "Hello," he shouted. The wind carried his voice, but it reached her. She paused and turned, observing him carefully. "Who are you?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but there was a hint of caution. "My name is Ryan," he said, keeping his hands visible. "I'm looking for the ruins in this desert. I could use a guide." The woman studied him for a moment, her eyes narrowing. Then she gave a small nod. "I am Mira. I know these dunes better than anyone. But travelers often get lost. Or worse. Why should I help you?" Ryan smiled gently. "Because I respect this desert. I will not take more than I need. I only want to learn, not destroy." Mira's expression softened slightly, though she remained cautious. "Very well, follow me. But stay close. The dunes can change in a moment, and they do not forgive carelessness." As they walked together, Ryan noticed Mira's skill. She moved lightly, almost like she floated above the sand. She pointed out small landmarks that he would have missed, footprints of animals or subtle differences in the sand that marked hidden slopes. Ryan admired her knowledge and how naturally she adapted to the harsh environment. The first night in the desert came quickly. They set up a small camp near a ridge that offered protection from the wind. Mira lit a small fire, and the flames danced and flickered, casting warm light across their faces. Ryan sat close, careful not to sit too near the heat, but close enough to share the moment. They ate simple rations of bread, dried fruits, and water, but the quiet of the desert made it feel special. Ryan watched Mira as she arranged the camp, noticing the care she took even in such a harsh place. She glanced at him and smiled briefly. It was not a wide smile, but it was genuine. "Why do you want to find the ruins?" Mira asked, breaking the silence. Ryan thought for a moment. "I want to understand. I have read about this desert and the people who lived here long ago. They created something important, something that could teach us how to live better. I want to find it not for myself, but so the knowledge can help others." Mira listened quietly. Then she nodded, as if deciding whether to trust him. "You are different from the travelers I usually see," she said. "Most come for gold or fame. You seem sincere," Ryan smiled. "I am sincere, and I want to learn from you too. You know this desert in a way I never will. I hope you will teach me." The fire crackled and the wind whispered softly through the dunes. In that moment, the desert felt alive, full of mystery and quiet beauty. Ryan realized that he was not just starting a journey of discovery. He was beginning an adventure that might change his life forever. As the night deepened, Ryan and Mira sat in silence, watching the stars appear above the desert. For a moment it felt as if time had stopped. The dunes around them glowed under the moonlight, golden and endless. And somewhere beneath the sand, secrets waited. Secrets that only those who were brave and patient could uncover. Ryan felt a strange warmth, not from the fire, but from the presence of Mira beside him. Somehow he knew that this journey would be about more than just ruins or artifacts. It would be about trust, friendship, and perhaps something even deeper. And so, under the quiet sky of the burning dunes, their journey began. The morning sun rose slowly, painting the dunes in soft shades of gold. Ryan woke to the sound of the desert wind, carrying a whisper across the sand. He rubbed his eyes and saw Mira already awake, checking their surroundings with careful eyes. "Morning," he said softly. "Morning," Mira replied, without looking at him directly. "The dunes are not always friendly at dawn. The sand shifts quickly. Stay close," Rian nodded, gathering his bag. As they walked, he noticed the patterns in the sand changing constantly. Small ridges appeared where moments before there were none. The desert was alive, and it seemed to have its own secret language. "You feel it too, don't you?" Mira asked suddenly. Ryan looked at her, puzzled. "The whispers," she explained, pointing to the wind rising over a dune. "Sometimes the desert seems to speak. Travelers say it carries voices of those who came before. Some say it is nothing more than the wind, but I think it tries to guide those who listen." Rian felt a shiver of excitement. He had always believed in signs and omens, but this was different. The desert seemed to reach out, promising adventure and secrets. As they moved deeper into the dunes, Ryan's foot slipped into a sudden hollow. He stumbled, nearly losing his balance. Before he could fall, Mira grabbed his arm with steady hands. "Careful," she said, pulling him to firm ground. Her eyes, usually calm, were sharp now. "The desert is tricky. One wrong step and it can swallow you. Always watch the sand beneath your feet." "Thank you," Rian said, his voice filled with respect. I would have fallen without you." Mira only nodded, letting go after a moment. But Rian noticed the small smile that appeared briefly. Something about her confidence made him feel safer, yet even more curious about her. They continued their journey, stopping occasionally to observe small signs the desert left behind. Mira pointed out footprints of desert foxes, tiny markings where lizards had hidden, and subtle changes in the wind that indicated hidden slopes. Ryan tried to remember every detail, amazed at her skill and patience. By noon, they reached a small hill where they could see distant ruins partially covered by sand. The stones were worn, but carvings and symbols were faintly visible. Ryan's heart raced with excitement. "Those ruins," he whispered. "Could they be the ones we're looking for?" Mira's eyes narrowed. "Possibly. But ruins are not always what they seem. Many hide traps are obstacles, and some are watched by more than sand and wind." Ryan looked at her, curious. "Watched by what?" She shook her head. "The desert is full of mysteries. Some are simple, like animals. Some are old magic or stories passed down through generations. Be ready for anything." As they approached the ruins, the wind picked up suddenly. Whirling sand formed small ghostly shapes around them, carrying whispers that sounded almost like voices. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. "Do you hear it?" he asked, almost in awe. Mira nodded. "Yes, the desert speaks. It tests us. We must listen carefully and respect it. The wind can guide us, or lead us astray." They set up a small break near the ruins, letting the wind settle. Mira produced a simple map from her bag, filled with markings that only she could read. "The artifact," she said quietly, pointing to a symbol, "is said to be nearby, but we must not rush. The desert rewards patience, not haste." Ryan studied the map, feeling the weight of the journey ahead. He realized that the desert was not just a place, it was a teacher, and Mira was the guide who could help him understand its lessons. As the sun began to descend, casting long shadows across the dunes, Ryan noticed Mira watching him closely. He felt her gaze, steady and thoughtful, and a warmth spread through him. She was strong, brave and wise, and he admired her more with every passing moment. "Rian," Mira said softly, "tonight we rest. Tomorrow we move closer to the ruins. But remember, this desert is alive. It watches, listens, and remembers. Always respect it." "I will," he replied, "and thank you, Mira, for guiding me, for everything." She gave him a small nod and returned to preparing their small camp. As the night fell, the desert whispered again, soft and low, carrying the promise of adventure. Ryan lay on the sand, staring at the stars, feeling a strange connection to the desert and to Mira. For the first time, he realized this journey was not only about the ruins or the artifact. It was about trust, friendship, and the quiet moments that would shape both of their hearts. And so, under the vast whispering dunes, Ryan and Mira's journey continued, each step carrying them closer to the secrets hidden beneath the sands and perhaps closer to each other. The sun climbed high in the sky, heating the sand under their feet. Ryan wiped the sweat from his brow and glanced at Mira, who seemed completely at ease. Her eyes scanned the horizon constantly, alert to every change in the desert. He admired her strength and calmness. It was clear that she belonged here, while he was still learning how to survive. Hours passed as they walked, the dunes stretching endlessly before them. Just when Rian began to feel tired and uncertain, Mira stopped suddenly and held up a hand. "Look," she said softly. Rian squinted and saw a shimmer in the distance. As they approached, the shimmer became clearer. It was an oasis, a hidden pool of water surrounded by green shrubs and small trees. The water sparkled like glass, reflecting the bright sun, and colorful flowers grew around the edges. For a moment, Ryan could not believe such beauty existed in this harsh desert. Mira smiled slightly, noticing his amazement. "Few travelers ever find this place," she said. "It is old, and it remembers those who have passed through. Rest here, but respect it." They set up a small camp near the water, and Rian knelt to drink. The cool water refreshed him instantly. Mira handed him a small cloth to wipe his face, and he felt a strange warmth from her simple gesture. "Why do you call it the Oasis of Memories?" Ryan asked, curious. Mira sat on a rock, gazing at the water. "Because every traveler leaves a memory here. The desert holds them. Some are happy, some are sad, but all are remembered." Ryan thought about his journey so far, about the dunes, the ruins, and Mira. He realized that this oasis felt different. It was not just a place to rest, it was a place to remember, to reflect, and to connect. As they rested, Mira asked him about his past. Ryan spoke of his childhood, his love for discovery, and the stories his parents told him about faraway lands. Mira listened quietly, nodding, sometimes smiling softly. Then she shared her own story. She spoke of growing up near the desert, learning its secrets from her family, and how she always felt a responsibility to protect it. Rian felt a deeper respect for her. She was not only brave and skilled, but also wise and kind. And he realized that he enjoyed not only her guidance, but her company as well. Suddenly, the wind shifted, carrying a soft, swirling sound. The sand around them moved gently, forming tiny waves and patterns. It seemed almost like the desert was speaking to them again. "Do you hear it?" Ryan asked, fascinated. Mira nodded. "Yes. The desert always speaks, but only to those who listen carefully. Sometimes it warns, sometimes it guides. Tonight it seems calm, but we must not forget it is always watching." As evening approached, a small sandstorm rose in the distance. Mira grabbed Ryan's arm and pulled him to cover behind a rock. The wind howled and sand swirled around them, stinging their skin. Ryan trusted her completely, letting her guide him safely through the storm. Once the storm passed, they returned to the oasis. Ryan laughed quietly, brushing sand from his clothes. "I would have been lost without you," he admitted. Mira's lips curved into a small smile. "You might have learned the hard way that the desert does not forgive mistakes. But you listened. That is important." As night fell, they sat together by the water, watching the stars appear in the sky. The oasis glowed softly under the moonlight, and the desert around them seemed peaceful, almost magical. Ryan felt a sense of calm he had never experienced before. "Mira," he said quietly, "thank you, not just for today, but for trusting me, for guiding me." She looked at him, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. "Trust is earned," she said softly, "and you have shown patience, courage, and respect. That is enough for me." For a long time they sat in silence, listening to the gentle rustle of the water and the whispers of the wind. Ryan felt a connection to Mira that went beyond friendship. He realized he was beginning to care deeply for her, though he did not yet know how to express it. The oasis, with its shimmering water and quiet beauty, became more than a resting place. It became a memory they shared, a moment of trust, of laughter, and of growing closeness. And as they drifted to sleep under the open sky, Ryan knew that this desert, which seemed harsh and endless, held not only secrets and challenges, but also the beginning of something new, something he had never expected. Their journey was far from over, but Ryan felt ready. With Mira by his side, he could face whatever the burning dunes had in store. The morning sun rose gently, spilling light over the endless dunes. Ryan and Mira packed their camp quickly, eager to continue their journey. The oasis behind them seemed like a dream as they walked once more into the vast golden desert. Every step carried them closer to the ruins that Ryan had hoped to discover. After hours of walking, they reached a ridge that overlooked a series of crumbling stone walls partially buried in sand. Ryan's heart raced at the sight. The ruins were older and larger than he had imagined. Some stones were carved with strange symbols, while others seemed to hold faint traces of colors that time had almost erased. "These ruins," Mira said quietly, "have been here for thousands of years. They tell stories of people who lived long before us. Some were wise, some were brave, and some Left lessons we are only beginning to understand. Ryan nodded, stepping closer to examine the carvings. He traced the shapes lightly with his fingers, feeling a strange connection to the past. It's incredible, he whispered. These people, they created something meaningful, something that still speaks to us after so many years. Mira studied him carefully. You see beyond the stone, she said. Most travelers only see treasure or beauty. You see the story. That is rare. As they moved deeper into the ruins, they discovered murals that depicted people performing various tasks, teaching children, studying stars, building structures, and caring for one another. Some figures held glowing objects, and Rian felt a spark of recognition. Could these be the ancestors of the artifact he sought? This symbol, Mira said, pointing to a carving of a circular crystal held by a figure, is one I have seen before in my family's teachings. It represents wisdom, unity, and balance. Whoever created this place valued harmony above all. Ryan looked at her, impressed. Your ancestors. They were protectors of knowledge, weren't they? Mira nodded slowly. Yes, and it is why I respect the desert. It has kept these secrets safe for generations. Only those who are patient, careful, and respectful can uncover them without causing harm. As they explored, Ryan noticed small hidden passages beneath the ruins. Some were blocked by sand, while others opened into chambers that seemed untouched for centuries. The air inside was cooler, carrying faint smells of stone and time. He felt like he had stepped into another world, a world that existed long before him yet spoke to him now. Be careful, Mira whispered as they entered one chamber. The desert protects its secrets. Many who come here leave empty-handed because they ignore the lessons of the past. Rian watched her closely, feeling a growing admiration. She was not just a guide. She was a guardian of knowledge and tradition. Her presence gave him courage, and her wisdom taught him to see more than just what was in front of his eyes. In the center of the chamber, they found a large stone pedestal, partially covered in sand. Strange symbols were etched into it, glowing faintly as if responding to the sun's light. Ryan knelt beside it, studying the carvings. This must be connected to the artifact, he said, excitement in his voice. Mira joined him, her eyes focused on the markings. It could be, she said softly, but the artifact is not just an object. It represents the values of those who created it. We must remember that, if we take it without understanding, we could disturb the balance of this place. Rian looked at her, realizing how much he valued her guidance. He had learned to trust her instincts and wisdom. I understand, he said. We'll be careful, and we'll learn what we can before moving forward. They spent the rest of the afternoon examining the ruins, piecing together the stories of the past. Each symbol, each carving, revealed a little more about the people who had once lived here, their hopes, their struggles, and their desire to create harmony in their world. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the ruins, Ryan and Mira climbed a small hill to rest. From there, they could see the endless desert beyond, golden and vast. The wind whispered through the ruins, carrying the voices of the past, soft but clear to those who listened. Rian felt a deep respect for the desert, for the ruins, and for Mira. He realized that their journey was about more than discovery. It was about understanding, trust, and learning from those who had come before. And as he looked at Mira, standing tall and confident beside him, he felt a warmth in his chest, a feeling that went beyond friendship. The desert has many lessons, Mira said, her voice quiet in the evening air. And I believe we are ready for the next one. But we must move carefully. The artifact waits, but so do challenges we cannot yet see. Ryan nodded, feeling both excitement and determination. He knew that with Mira by his side, he could face whatever the burning dunes had in store. And as night fell, painting the ruins in silver moonlight, he understood that this journey was only the beginning, not only of their adventure, but of a bond that was slowly growing between them. The shadows of the past surrounded them, silent and powerful, reminding them that every step they took carried the wisdom of those who had walked before. And with each step, Ryan and Mira moved closer, not only to the secrets of the desert, but the desert heat pressed down on Rian and Mira as they continued their journey. The sun was high and the golden dunes stretched endlessly around them. Every step felt heavier than the last, yet neither of them slowed. The ruins had given them clues and the artifact seemed closer than ever, but the desert had its own challenges to offer. Mira led the way, her eyes sharp for hidden dangers. "The desert is full of surprises," she said quietly. "Not all of them are friendly. Stay alert." Ryan followed closely, trusting her instincts completely. He had learned to read the subtle changes in the sand, the way the wind shifted and how Mira moved with ease. He was beginning to understand that the desert was not just a place. They had to respect it or it could punish them. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. Ryan froze and Mira's eyes widened. "Careful," she shouted. "There is heat beneath the sand!" Before Ryan could react, a small section of the dune ignited, glowing with orange and red flames. The fire spread quickly across the surface and thick smoke rose into the sky. The heat was intense, forcing them to move faster. "Over here," Mira called, pointing to a narrow path between two dunes. They ran together, avoiding the burning sand, their feet sinking into the cooler sections. Ryan stumbled once, but Mira grabbed his hand, steadying him. "You okay?" she asked, her voice tense but calm. "I'm fine," Ryan said, catching his breath. "Thanks to you." Mira only nodded, focusing on the path ahead. The desert was unforgiving, but together they found a safe route. Ryan noticed how naturally Mira moved, as if the desert itself guided her steps. He felt admiration growing stronger inside him. Her courage, her skill, and her determination made him feel both safe and inspired. Once the fire was behind them, they paused at the top of a small dune. Their faces were flushed, and their breaths came in heavy gasps. Ryan looked at Mira and realized how close they had become, not just as travelers but as companions who relied on one another completely. "You saved me," he said softly, looking into her eyes. I don't know what I would have done without you." Mira's lips curved into a small smile. "We save each other," she said simply. "That is what the desert teaches. Trust, teamwork, and respect." Ryan felt a warmth spread through his chest. It was more than gratitude. It was something deeper, something he had not expected to feel in the harsh desert. As they continued walking, the sun began to descend, casting long shadows over the dunes. The heat faded slightly, replaced by a gentle warmth that felt almost soothing. They came to a small plateau overlooking the desert, the burning sands behind them now only a distant memory. Ryan looked at Mira, noticing how the fading sunlight highlighted her strong features and thoughtful eyes. "Mira," he said quietly, "I am beginning to see why you know this desert so well. You are amazing here. Brave, smart, and patient." Mira glanced at him, her cheeks tinged with color. "You've learned quickly," she replied. "More quickly than most travelers. And you have respect for the desert. And for what came before. That matters more than skill." They set up a small camp for the night, choosing a safe spot away from the glowing sands below. Mira lit a fire smaller than before, and Ryan helped gather dry wood. The flames flickered warmly, casting dancing shadows on their faces. As they ate their simple meal, Ryan felt a sense of calm he had not experienced in the harsh daylight. "You know," he said, "I came here to find the artifact. But I think the journey itself and with you is more important." Mira looked at him, surprised for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I feel the same. The desert teaches us lessons we cannot learn elsewhere, and sometimes the people we meet along the way become part of the lesson." They sat in silence, watching the fire, listening to the wind whisper through the dunes. The desert was alive, full of secrets and memories, and it seemed to accept them as companions, not intruders. Ryan realized that each challenge they faced, each danger they avoided, was bringing them closer, not only to the artifact, but to understanding and trust between them. As the night deepened, Ryan and Mira lay on the sand, staring at the stars above. The sky was vast and clear, and the desert felt endless and magical. He felt a connection to Mira that went beyond friendship. In the quiet of the dunes, he sensed that something beautiful was beginning. A bond formed through shared courage, respect, and quiet moments of understanding. And as they drifted to sleep under the gentle watch of the moon, Ryan knew one thing for certain: the desert was harsh. The journey was dangerous, but with Mira by his side, he could face whatever came next. The burning dunes had tested them with fire and wind, but it had also shown them the strength of trust, teamwork, and the beginnings of something deeper, something that neither of them could yet fully name. The next morning, the desert greeted Ryan and Mira with calm warmth. The dunes shimmered under the rising sun, golden waves stretching endlessly. After days of travel, they finally approached a section of the ruins that Mira had marked on her map. There, partially buried by centuries of sand, stood the entrance to a hidden temple. Rian's heart raced. "This must be it," he whispered. "The place that holds the artifact." Mira studied the entrance carefully. "It is said that only those who are patient and respectful can enter safely," she said. "The temple protects its secrets. We must be careful." They stepped closer, brushing the sand away from the large stone doorway. Ancient symbols were etched into the walls, glowing faintly as sunlight touched them. Ryan reached out to touch one, but Mira stopped him gently. "Not yet," she said. "The temple tests those who enter. Haste can be dangerous. Observe first, then act." Ryan nodded, trusting her judgment. Together, they examined the patterns on the walls. They told stories of the people who had built the temple, guardians of knowledge, protectors of wisdom, and seekers of balance. The carvings also hinted at challenges inside. Traps, puzzles, and paths that required both mind and skill to navigate. With careful steps, they entered the temple. The air inside was cooler, carrying the scent of stone and time. Shadows danced along the walls and faint light filtered through cracks in the ceiling. Ryan felt awe and excitement at the same time. "Look there," Mira said, pointing to a series of stone levers and rotating discs. The first test, Ryan studied them, realizing it was a puzzle. Symbols on the discs had to align with the carvings on the wall. He started to rotate one disc, then another, while Mira guided him. Her knowledge of the symbols was precise, and together they solved the puzzle. A hidden door slid open with a deep rumble. "You did well," Mira said, her eyes shining. "But this is only the beginning." Ryan smiled, feeling proud and grateful. "We make a good team," he said. They continued deeper into the temple, moving cautiously over stone floors and around small traps. Some were simple, pressure plates that could trigger a falling stone, but others required thought. Ryan and Mira combined their skills. Rian's cleverness in analyzing patterns and Mira's understanding of the desert's wisdom. Step by step they advanced. At one point they reached a chamber with a low ceiling and a shallow pool of water in the center. Symbols glowed faintly beneath the surface. Mira held Ryan's hand to steady him as he stepped carefully on the stones. Together they moved across the pool, aligning the glowing symbols as they went. When they reached the other side, a section of the wall slowly opened to reveal another passage. "This temple, it feels alive," Ryan said in awe, "like it watches us and responds to what we do." Mira nodded. "The builders believed in balance. Everything here is connected. Respect, patience, and trust guide those who enter. The temple rewards those who work together, not alone." As they continued, the final chamber came into view. Sunlight filtered through a small opening in the ceiling, illuminating a pedestal in the center. On it rested the artifact, a glowing crystal that seemed to hum with energy. Its light filled the room with warmth and calm. Ryan approached it slowly, feeling the power it held. Mira stepped beside him, her hand brushing against his. They looked at each other, understanding the importance of the moment. "We must be careful," Mira said. "Taking it without understanding could disrupt the balance the temple preserves." Ryan nodded. "We will do this together." With steady hands, they examined the pedestal and the crystal. The temple seemed to hum in response, as if acknowledging their care and teamwork. They realized that retrieving the artifact required more than strength or cleverness. It required unity, trust, and respect. As they worked side by side, Ryan felt a deep connection to Mira. Every glance, every small gesture, made him more certain that their bond had grown stronger than he had expected. Mira, in turn, felt the same warmth. The temple had tested not only their skills but also their hearts. Finally, they prepared to take the crystal, ensuring that they would not disturb the delicate balance of the chamber. With a shared look of determination, they lifted it together. A soft glow spread through the room, filling them with a sense of accomplishment and quiet joy. "This is only the beginning," Mira said softly. "The desert still has many lessons for us, but we have passed one of its greatest tests today." Rian smiled, feeling proud and grateful. "And we did it together," he said. As they left the hidden temple, stepping once more into the warm desert sunlight, the dunes seemed to welcome them. The desert had challenged them, but it had also shown them the strength of trust, unity, and care. And for Ryan and Mira, it had revealed. The desert sun burned brightly as Ryan and Mira rested near a ridge overlooking the dunes. The hidden temple lay behind them, its secrets now partially revealed, and the glowing crystal, the artifact, was safely secured. Yet even as they admired the golden landscape, a quiet tension lingered between them. Mira studied the crystal carefully. "Ryan," she said, her voice soft but serious, "we have found it. But taking this from the desert may change everything. The balance my ancestors preserved, it could be lost if the artifact leaves this place." Ryan frowned, holding the crystal in his hands. Its glow was warm, almost alive. "I understand," he said slowly. "But think of the knowledge it could bring to the world. It could help people understand harmony, respect, and the wisdom of the past." Mira shook her head. "Yes, it could. But not if it disrupts the land that has protected it for centuries. Sometimes the greatest knowledge is knowing when not to take something. The desert has taught us patience and care. This is the final lesson." Ryan looked at her, feeling the weight of the choice. He had traveled so far, overcome danger, and solved every puzzle only to face a moral test greater than any challenge the temple had presented. He realized that Mira was right. Taking the artifact without understanding its place could bring harm, not help. I don't know what to do," he admitted, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. Mira placed a gentle hand on his arm. "We decide together. That is why we succeeded in the temple. We trusted each other, and we respected the lessons we were given. Whatever we choose must honor that." Ryan felt a warmth from her touch, more comforting than the desert sun. In that moment, he understood that their journey was about more than discovery. It was about trust, respect, and the connection between them. They walked to the edge of a small cliff, the golden dunes stretching endlessly before them. The wind carried whispers soft and low, as if the desert itself awaited their decision. Ryan held the crystal carefully, feeling its energy hum through his fingers. "What if we leave it here?" he asked slowly. "The desert has protected it for centuries. Maybe it is better that it stays." Mira nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. "Sometimes the greatest courage is letting go. To preserve the wisdom, we must respect the place that has kept it safe." Ryan took a deep breath, his heart beating fast. "Then we leave it," he said firmly. "We preserve the desert and its balance, and we carry its lessons with us instead." Mira's eyes sparkled with pride. "You have grown so much, Ryan. Not just as an explorer, but as someone who understands the desert and its teachings. Together, we made the right choice." They carefully placed the crystal back on the pedestal in the temple, ensuring it remained untouched by human hands. As the sun's rays fell upon it, the glow seemed brighter, as if the artifact recognized their respect. Ryan felt a sense of peace wash over him, knowing they had done what was right. Mira turned to him, her gaze softening. "You see, sometimes the greatest treasure is not what you hold in your hands, but what you carry in your heart." Ryan smiled, feeling a deep connection to her words, and to Mira herself. "I understand," he said, "and I think I've learned more from this journey than I ever imagined. About the desert, and about trust, and about you." Mira's cheeks tinged with color, and she looked away briefly before meeting his eyes again. "Ryan, I feel the same. This journey has shown me the value of partnership, respect, and courage, and it has brought us closer than I expected." The wind swept across the dunes, carrying soft whispers that seemed to applaud their choice. Ryan and Mira stood together side by side, knowing that the desert had tested them in more ways than one. It had challenged their courage, their intelligence, and their morals, but it had also shown them the strength of trust, friendship, and something deeper, an unspoken bond that grew quietly between them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the golden dunes glowing in its last light, Ryan and Mira shared a moment of quiet understanding. They had faced fire, wind, sand, and ancient mysteries, and now they had faced a choice that defined not only their journey, but their hearts. Ryan reached for Mira's hand, feeling the warmth of her fingers in his. "No matter what comes next," he said softly, "I want us to face it together." Mira smiled, squeezing his hand gently. "Together," she agreed. And so, under the quiet evening sky of the burning dunes, they made their decision, not for glory, not for treasure, but for respect, wisdom, and the growing bond between them. The desert, vast and golden, seemed to hum with approval, whispering that they were ready for whatever lay ahead. Their journey was far from over, but Ryan and Mira had learned the greatest lesson of all, that trust, respect, and courage could guide them through even the most difficult choices, and that the desert, with all its challenges and wonders, had brought them together in a way neither would ever forget. The morning sun bathed the burning dunes in soft gold as Ryan and Mira packed their small camp. The temple behind them now stood quiet, its secrets preserved and the crystal safely resting in its place. For days they had faced sandstorms, scorching heat, shifting dunes, and ancient puzzles, but together they had endured everything. Ryan looked out over the vast desert, feeling a mixture of awe and gratitude. "The desert is incredible," he said quietly. "It's harsh, beautiful, and full of lessons. I've never seen anything like it." Mira smiled, adjusting her scarf against the wind. "It teaches those who listen. And you have learned well. You have patience, respect, and courage. You have grown." Ryan glanced at her, noticing the warmth in her eyes. He realized how much he had come to care for her during this journey. It wasn't just admiration anymore, it was a quiet, steady feeling that made his heart beat a little faster whenever she was near. As they walked across the golden dunes one last time, they spoke quietly, sharing thoughts about their journey and what they had learned. Ryan admitted his wonder at the desert's hidden beauty, and Mira spoke of her pride in seeing someone understand its lessons without arrogance or greed. At a high ridge, they paused to take in the view. The dunes stretched endlessly, rolling like waves frozen in time. The desert whispered softly in the wind, carrying memories of travelers long gone and secrets preserved through centuries. Ryan felt a deep connection, not only to the land but to Mira, who had guided him through it all. "Ryan," Mira said softly, "I am glad we made the choice we did. The artifact belongs here, and so does the balance of the desert." "I know," Ryan replied, nodding, "and I feel proud. Not for finding it, but for understanding it, for respecting it, and for everything we've shared." Mira's cheeks warmed slightly and she looked away, then back at him. "I feel the same," she said gently. "This journey, it has been more than I expected. I didn't know someone could understand the desert so well, and I didn't expect to feel this connection with anyone." Ryan reached for her hand. She hesitated for a moment, then placed hers in his. The warmth of her fingers was comforting, familiar, and a little thrilling. He smiled, feeling a sense of peace he had never known in the harsh desert sun. Together they descended the dunes slowly, leaving behind the temple and its secrets. The desert seemed to hum around them, approving silently as if acknowledging their respect and courage. Every step they took felt lighter, filled with the quiet joy of accomplishment and the deepening bond between them. As they reached a small oasis where their journey had first given them rest, Ryan paused. "Remember this place?" he asked, glancing at the shimmering water. Mira smiled, her eyes reflecting the sunlight. "Yes, it was our first test of patience and trust, and it remains a memory we share, one I will never forget." Ryan knelt by the water, dipping his hands into its cool surface. "I think I will remember everything, the dunes, the ruins, the temple. And you." Mira knelt beside him. "And I will remember you, Ryan. This journey has changed me. And you've been more than a companion. You've been a friend, a partner, and someone important to me." Ryan looked into her eyes, seeing the sincerity and warmth there. "I feel the same," he said softly. "And I don't want this to end just because we leave the desert." Mira smiled, squeezing his hand. "Then we will find a way. This is not the end. It is just the beginning of another journey. Together." The sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the dunes in shades of orange and pink. The desert wind whispered softly, carrying the memories of their adventure, the lessons learned, and the trust they had built. Ryan and Mira stood side by side, feeling stronger, wiser, and closer than ever. As they began walking toward the distant town where their journey had begun, the desert seemed less harsh, less endless. It was no longer just a place of challenge, it was a place of growth, learning, and connection. And in leaving it, they carried not only the wisdom of the past, but the promise of a future together. Ryan glanced at Mira once more, feeling a warmth in his heart. "No matter where we go next," he said, "I want us to face it together." Mira smiled, her eyes shining with hope and trust. "Together," she agreed. And so, hand in hand, they walked away from the burning dunes, their hearts full of memories, lessons, and a quiet love that had grown slowly and surely in the golden sands. The desert remained behind them, vast, golden, and eternal, its secrets safe, its balance preserved, and its story forever part of theirs. The burning dunes had tested them, taught them, and guided them. And in return, it had given them